So I always wanted to do a video about the Cornhuskers in the 90s. As this program in the 90s, they had this unique mystique, this special aura. And at times they seemed invincible in the 90s. But before I get to that, just want to remind you, if you haven't done so already, go ahead, subscribe, like, share, and I appreciate all the support, and thank you so much. So I'm going to start in 1990. Now, Nebraska, they went to the Citrus Bowl against Georgia Tech. I don't really remember this game too well. I just remember Georgia Tech being happy. Later on, they wound up sharing the national championship with Colorado. Colorado won the Big 8 in 1990, 1989. But for the 1991 season, Nebraska, they won the Big 8. Thus, they went to the Orange Bowl and they played Miami. Miami was the number one team. And I was able to get a good portion of this game, able to watch it. I'm just saying that because I was a Florida Gators fan. And the reason is because everyone loved Florida State. Everyone loved Miami. And I just wanted to be strange and unique. And I like the third team in Florida. But anyways, because at the same time of the Orange Bowl was the Sugar Bowl. So I was a little bit more interested in the Sugar Bowl than the Orange Bowl. But I think the Sugar Bowl kicked off later. The point is when I watched this game, it was boring. But I don't mean that in a bad way, because I just loved sports back then. And it didn't matter to me if it was blowout, if it was boring. But the point is that Miami's offense, they seem to do what they want to do. Nebraska had a bend don't break defense. They forced Miami to kick a lot of field goals. And Nebraska's offense was not good at all. They had 1 yard in the first quarter. They got the first down late in the second quarter. And like I said, it was a blowout. Miami won 22-0. So then for 1992 season, Nebraska once again, they won the Big 8 conference. They went to the Orange Bowl. This time they played Florida State. Florida State, they went up 20-0, and they won 27-14. I watched parts of this game because on the other channel, Sugar Bowl, that was number 1 Miami and number 2 Alabama. Miami got smoked that game. And so I got to watch some of it. But the point is, around this time, with the way watching the games against Miami and the game against Florida State, is that I was thinking okay, that's nice. You have your I formation, your option offense. You can play defense, you can run the ball, but you'll never beat teams like Florida State or Miami. They have those great defenses, and also Miami with the 3 wide receivers who can throw the ball. Florida State with the 4 wide receivers in shotgun, Charlie Ward, they can also throw the ball. So Miami's just too one-dimensional. But I said Miami's too one-dimensional. I mean Nebraska was too one-dimensional. But the point is, I would be wrong. So then for the 1993 season, Nebraska went undefeated. They won the Big 8 again. They go against Florida State in the Orange Bowl once again. And Florida State was number 1. They had their 1 loss to Notre Dame. And Nebraska, they'd be number 2. They're undefeated. And for this game, Florida State, they were 16.5-point favorite. Now, I did not get a chance once again to watch this game fully because I was more interested in the Florida-West Virginia game, being a strange Florida Gator fan. So Florida State, they were 16.5-point favorites against Nebraska. And Tommie Frazier played really well, and this was a good game when I went back to watch it. And Nebraska lost on they lost on a last-second field goal. They lost 18-16. I was like, okay, wow, that was a good showing. So 1994 season, Nebraska went undefeated again, and they wound up being the number 1 team at the end of the season. Now, Nebraska was number 1, Penn State was number 2. Penn State would play in the Rose Bowl against Oregon for that season, and Miami is number 3, so it would be Nebraska, Miami. In the Orange Bowl, I'm thinking, okay, whatever, it's Miami. They're going to beat Nebraska because Nebraska, look at their history in the late 80s and the 90s, playing Miami and Florida State, they're going to get killed. But I would be wrong. And this game I loved it. This was one of the best games I ever watched. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, people probably don't put it there, but I just loved it. The crowd was just raucous. They were into it for a bowl game. That was pretty unique. And there was a lot of hitting going on, a lot of intense play. Miami had aggressive front 4, very fast defense. And Nebraska, they could tackle well. That's one thing about Tom Osborne, Nebraska Cornhuskers teams. They could tackle. For this season, the big story was that Tommie Frazier had blood clots in his leg. So he missed the second half of the season, but he'd be healthy for this Orange Bowl. So the first quarter, it'd be Tommie Frazier. Second quarter, it'd be backup Brock Beiermann, who did a really good job stepping in for Tommie Frazier. And then for the second half, it'd be Tom Osborne to decide who'd have the hot hand. So what happened was 17-9. Nebraska was down. Brock Beiermann threw an interception in the end zone, and Tommie Frazier come in. Now, I don't know if it was because Miami's defense was getting tired or what, but the last 2 drives, Lawrence Phillips, Tommie Frazier, they had some good runs. And then taking advantage of this aggressive front 4 for Miami, Like Nebraska at the perfect times, they called a play to their fullback, Corey Schlesinger, who made 2 runs for touchdowns that put them up 24-17, and Nebraska, they won the national championship. I was like, wow, okay, they did it. They beat Miami, who in fact they were favored by a point in this game. And they wound up not splitting national championship as years went on. I thought it was a split national championship like what happened in 1990, 1991 with Washington and Miami. But it was actually Nebraska won national championship, and because of things that happened at Penn State, I'm kind of glad it happened that way. So Nebraska wins the national championship. Now, 1995 season, Florida State, preseason number 2. Florida State preseason number 1, Nebraska preseason number 2. And for this season, Nebraska, they just demolished their opponents. Like, you look at these scores, these are impressive scores. And it was an impressive season for Nebraska. So, with this season, they had like a BCS alliance. This was the first year of this. And that's because, with this season, usually in the past, like the SEC champion will go to the Sugar Bowl, and the Big 8 champion, they would go to Orange Bowl. But for the BCS alliance, they scrapped that. Now, the Rose Bowl still had their ties with the Big 10 and Pac-10. That was still intact. But anyways, excuse me. So, it was the Fiesta Bowl. They got the number 1 team, Nebraska, number 2 team, Florida. Nebraska was a 3.5-point favorite. And for this game, I'm thinking, okay, Florida, my Florida Gators are going to win this game. They got wide receivers that Nebraska can't stop. Riedel Anthony, Killiard, my man Jacquez Green, who I'm wearing this jersey of. I'll talk about more of him later on. And Nebraska just demolished him. Now, people may remember Tommie Frazier's run, but what I remember is Nebraska's defense, how well they blitzed, how well they covered these wide receivers. Now, Steve Spurrier and Mike Martz, they have this thing where, like, their quarterback is getting destroyed. And what they do, they don't adjust. They're like, okay, we're going to call more 7-step drops and have our quarterback get demolished even more and even be more embarrassed and not have anybody stay into block. And that's what happened. And I made a video about Steve Spurrier's facial expressions during this game. You can check it out. But anyways, Florida got demolished. There was a point where Jacquez Green, on a kick return, there was like no one that blocked for him. He got rolled up, got injured pretty badly. And I was like, okay, this isn't going to happen. So Nebraska wins the national championship. Pretty impressive. Champions from 94-95 season. 1996, Nebraska, preseason number 1. And it was the second game of the year where Nebraska lost to Arizona State at Arizona State. Now, I didn't have cable, so I'd have to watch games at a friend's home or something like that. And since this game was at Arizona State, I did not get the score in the paper because it was late game being in Chicago. So I think I found it like at NFL Fox Sunday or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But anyways, I was stunned that Arizona, Jake Plummer, beat this Nebraska team. So, possibly could have been an interesting season. Well, Nebraska went on to win the rest of their games, rest of the regular season games. So, here's what happened for me as a Gators fan. Florida lost late in the season to Florida State. They're both undefeated, number 1 versus number 2. So, the standings went like this. Florida State, number 1. Arizona State, number 2. Nebraska, number 3. And Florida, number 4. Now, what was left was the SEC Championship and the Big 12 Championship. This was the first year for the Big 12 Championship, as the 4 teams from the Southwest Conference combined with the Big 8 to make the Big 12. So, I needed Nebraska to lose for Florida, possibly have a chance for the national championship. That's because Arizona State, they were going to not be part of the BCS Alliance, or so not be part of the Bowl Alliance. They're going to be part of the Rose Bowl. So, here's the situation. Big 12 Championship, Texas. I don't think they're ranked. Nebraska, this almighty Nebraska team. Going up against Texas, I'm like, okay, Nebraska's going to beat them. This sucks. So here's what happened. Texas up 30-27. At their own, I think it was like 20-30 yard line, something like that. 4th and 1. And Texas decides to go for it. Now they had Priest Holmes and Ricky Williams, but my man James Brown, who was a quarterback at Texas at the time, rolled out and completed a long pass, kept the drive alive, and thus scored a touchdown, and they won 37-27. Thus, that allowed Florida State to play in the Sugar Bowl. I believe that was the Sugar Bowl at the time. Florida demolished Florida State. They won the national championship. That's because Ohio State beat Arizona State in the Rose Bowl. So I was happy about that. So thank you, Texas. So now, the 1997 season. And by the way, the quarterback at this time was Scott Frost, transferred from Stanford. He was quarterback in 1996, and he did a good job running the option. So, 1997 season, Nebraska, they went through their schedule, except for one game against Missouri. The flea kicker would happen. As the time expired, Frost threw a pass. The ball bounced off receiver's arms and somehow got kicked magically into another receiver of Nebraska's hands, and that forced the game to overtime. Nebraska won the game in overtime against Missouri. I'm like, okay, this team's not going to lose. But what impressed me was their bowl game against Tennessee. They really dominated Tennessee and Peyton Manning. So, national championships once again. They actually shared with Michigan this year. Now, for this season, like I said, the Rose Bowl saw their ties with the Big Ten and Pac-10. So, Michigan won the Rose Bowl against Washington State. Now, they split this national championship. And I heard on Chicago that Las Vegas would have put Nebraska as a 7-point favorite. And I'm not a gamble man, but if you put a gun to my head, I think I would have taken Nebraska's 97 team to beat Michigan by more than 7. But to be honest, like I said, maybe I'm wrong. For that 94 team, I would have took Penn State over Nebraska. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. If I had to choose with that offense with Kajana Carter, Kerry Collins, Kyle Brady, and Kajana Carter, who was Bobby Ingram. I'm sorry, Bobby Ingram. But nonetheless, Nebraska, Michigan, they shared the national championship. Tom Osborne, he then retired. So, the 1998 season, Frank Solich, an assistant, will be the new head coach in Nebraska. I'm thinking things are going to be the same. Their opening game was strange for me for this, is that Troy Edwards, wide receiver, Louisiana Tech, he had 21 receptions for 405 yards, and that was pretty amazing for that to happen against Nebraska defense. Like, okay, what's going to happen going forward? Well, this was very un-Nebraska-like. Now, about midway through the season, Nebraska went to Kyle Field to play Texas A&M. And Texas A&M, they ran on Nebraska, which is very surprising on this black shirt defense. Dante Hall, Jamar Toombs, who's this big fullback who I enjoyed watching run the ball. They beat Nebraska 28-21. Now, the quarterback was Bobby Newcomb. And at this time, I was interested in Bobby Newcomb because someone on my basketball team was from Albuquerque. That's where Bobby Newcomb was from. And he kept telling me about Bobby Newcomb. But this season, they played 3 quarterbacks. I'll get more about the quarterback situation later on. So for the 98 season, Nebraska had 4 losses. Their last loss was in the Holiday Bowl against Arizona. So 1999 season, they finally got the quarterback situation straightened out. Eric Crouch, he was good. He was one of the best college quarterbacks in my lifetime. When he found a crease, he just took off and went, and he was so fast. So, 1999 season, Nebraska only had 1 loss. They won their bowl game, and they wound up not winning the national championship in 99. Here's my thing about the 99 Cornhuskers. In November, I was a Virginia Tech fan because I liked the color scheme. It was the 93 Independence Bowl I first saw them. The color scheme of the neon orange and maroon. And by the way, Nebraska killed Virginia Tech in 1996 in, I forgot what a bowl line scheme that was, but anyways, they destroyed them. But in November, Tennessee, they were ahead of Virginia Tech for the 99 season. 1 loss. Virginia Tech was number 3 in the BCS standings. At this time, it was the BCS standings with 0 losses. I'm like, how could that be? Well, Tennessee, they lost to Arkansas. That kicked Tennessee out. So Virginia Tech was number 2, and Florida State was number 1. But Nebraska was number 3 with their 1 loss, and that got me a little bit scared that Nebraska maybe took over Virginia Tech at some point, but it didn't happen. So the 2000 season, Nebraska's preseason number 1. One memorable game was early in the 2000 season. They went to South Bend, and it was 21-21. With a little bit over a minute to go, Notre Dame had the ball on their own 30. And the thing about coaches is, like, are you prepared for situations? And Bob Davie, Notre Dame, for some reason, they just weren't prepared, like, of what to do. As the 2 plays they ran was like a QB draw and QB rollout. Like, they had no idea what they were doing, and like they're playing for overtime. They were not prepared at all. Now, I'm a Greg Schiano fan because I like how he's prepared for certain situations. Some of you might disagree on Greg Schiano, but that situation was not helpful for Notre Dame. But Nebraska went on to win that game in overtime, 27-24. Thing about the Big 12 conference, they had a new coach in the conference who was very good. In his second season, Bob Stoops. They beat Nebraska, number 1 Nebraska, number 3 Oklahoma. Oklahoma won that game. And Nebraska also lost a game later in the season to Kansas State. So Nebraska had 2 losses. They went to Alamo Bowl. They destroyed Northwestern. So 2001 season. Now, for this season, Nebraska, I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. I think they were preseason number 4. But anyways, as the season went on, when the BCS standings came out, they were number 1. Number 1 in the BCS, number 1. They kept being number 1. They didn't lose. Now, for the regular season finale, they would play Colorado. And I was excited. I wanted to watch this game a lot. And I don't know what happened. I've never been more baffled, more astonished, more stunned from a game from beginning to end as Colorado just demolished Nebraska 62-24. I don't know what happened. It's like all that history of the black shirts of how good of a tackling team they are just went away. And it amazed me. I don't know what happened. And I just can't get over how much it stunned me. It's like all that aura of invincibility, all that aura like invincibility just kind of like washed away that experience from my younger days, my teen years. And it was so strange. And when Nebraska, now they still were the number 2 team, and Miami's number 1, they played in the Rose Bowl for the BCS championship. Nebraska got blown out, and it's like that game didn't mean anything to me. It's like, I don't know, just some strange. It just seemed like Nebraska's like black shirt history just got erased for some strange reason. And that, in a way, is like it of Nebraska's dominance. Was that game against Colorado for me. And like I said, just growing up, Nebraska just had this like special aura. They had this mystique. At times they seemed invincible. And just being a huge college football fan, it was very interesting to watch this team play in the 90s and how much it dominated. People talk about the 95 team, but that 97 team was also pretty good. And that's about it. I forgot to mention about the 98 team where they lost to Kansas State. And I think that was like the only time in like 3 or 4 years where Nebraska was the underdog. I think Kansas State was the favorite that game. I'm not sure, but I really like that 98 Kansas State team. They were really good, and I really wanted to watch a game, but being in Chicago, I had to watch the other ABC game. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching this. Sorry, this is a long video. I was losing my voice. I was coughing, maybe sweating a little bit, but thank you so much, and appreciate everything. Thank you for your support. Thank you, and have a good day. Thank you.